Hi, today I want to share something with the canonical expressions. In the lecture, we learned two forms to use the truth table to write the canonical expressions. One is sum of product canonical form, and another is product of sum canonical form. We could get something just based on the name. So for here, we use product first and we use sum next to write the canonical form. We know something before that we use logic and important to represent product in the computer science, and we also use OR to represent sum in computer science. So for here, we know we use AND first and OR next to write a canonical form, to write a canonical expressions. So how could we use it? First, we use AND to gather all the elements in each row of the truth table. And then we create a conjunct of this row. Then we use OR to connect all the conjuncts for which the output is 1. Based on this, we create a canonical expressions finally. So for the first step, what should we know that? We should know if the input is 0, we put a not before the element. And for OR, we only need to connect when the output is 1. We connect them to create a canonical expressions. So I will give you an example of it, and I just need to write the first 3 to give the example, and we could do the next canonical form quickly. So for the first line, what we got here, first we do the AND step, and there's a 0, so we should put not sign before the element, which is not A, and we use AND ampersand to connect all of them, and not B and not C. And the second line is not A and not B and C. The third line is and not A and B and not C. And the other expressions I write already. So then we do the OR step to create a canonical expressions. We do the function E first, and we do the E prime next. Remember, we only need to find when the output is 1, we connect them. So for E, we should find when the output is 1, which is this line, and these 3 lines. And we connect them by using OR. So we write about it is not A and not B and C, or not A and B and C, or A and not B and C, or A and B and not C, or A and B and C. And then we do the E prime function. So for here, we should find when the output for E prime is 1, we connect them to become a canonical expressions, which we need to use this line, and this one, and this one. because of time, I could just write them really quickly. But this only for the scratch paper. You cannot write this form in the exam. Only this form. This expression can be appeared in the exam. And then we do the product of some canonical form. Also, we could get something just based on the name. So we do sum first and product next, which means we do all first and next. The similar method to the sum of product canonical form. The similar step. First, we use all to gather all the elements in each row, and we only do the when the input of the element is 1. We put the not sign before the element. The example like this. A, B, and C. The input for A, B, C is 0, 0, 1. So we only do the not sign before the element when the input is 1. So we only put the not sign before the C. And then we use AND to together all the rows when the output is 0. So the output 0, we connect them. And write a quick example for this one. And I have already written the rest of the conjuncts. We only need to do the first 3 of them. Remember, we only put the not sign when the input is 1. So for here is A or B or C, and we use all to connect them for the conjuncts. And here, because we got 1 for C, so we write A on B on not C. And we got 1 for here for B, so we write A and not B and C. And then we use AND to connect all of them, to connect when the output is 0, and we connect them. So first, we write the function for E. We should find when E is 0. Here we got E is 0, and this one, and this one. And we use AND to connect all of them. Remember, because AND represent product and the OR represent sum, so maybe we should give the apprentice of the conjuncts to do the to write the canonical expressions. So first we write A on B on C and A on not B on C and not A on B on C. Then we should do the E prime. We need to find the 0 for E prime. So we got this one, and this 3. And because of time, we just do it really quick. So we use AND to connect all of them. this could only happen when you do it in scratch paper. To do the quick expressions, this one could appear in the exam. So that is what I want to share today. We use product of some canonical form or sum of product canonical form, and we use a truth table to write a canonical expressions. That's it. Thank you guys.